Hello, beloveds. Happy full moon in Taurus. How many of you are just needing that deep breath that allows the nervous system to stabilize and to ground? How many of you are feeling that? Taurus is an earth element, and it feels like there are themes around where we've dug our heels into certain beliefs and ideas that our way is right, but also this like real humility of, I get an image of a bull laying down on the ground, being really close to the earth, kneeling to the ground, kneeling to the wisdom in the body, as the body is a representation of the earth herself, a representation of the body of wholeness, the body of spirit. And there feels like there's a lot of information available if we drop out of our thinking mind and out of the collective field, which is really chaotic right now. The election, the US election, has uncovered so much of the collective shadow and the polarization, the identity of being right, which inherently makes the other wrong. And inherent in all of that is separation, it's duality. So I feel that, and the opportunity with this moon to come back to 0 point through grounding, through connection with the earth, through just disconnecting from all of the conversations, the opinions, the propaganda, all of the ways that we maybe have been consumed or inundated by what's happening out there, so that we can really reestablish what's in here is something that has a deep and profound wisdom and trust in the unfolding of the process. And knowing that only when our roots are very settled and we are humble and connected with our true nature, that we're able to observe the world around us and feel what is true. There is an awareness that I have that one of the things that's been occurring over a bit of time now, but it's going to become crucial that people begin to tap into their intuition and learn how to access the wisdom of the intuition. The part of you that knows and has to go beyond the thinking mind, has to go beyond your history in order to perceive what is unseeable with the human eyes, what is unknowable with the human mind, but what allows you to take these leaps of faith and steps in the right direction, because there's so much shadow material and so much confusion and interference out there. It's very, very difficult to navigate that and to I see this image of people trying to go through all of these different thought forms and bubbles of energy and coagulated energy density to try to see their way through, and you just can't. You have to feel it. The inner light in you has to be accessed, and you have to be in resonant and relationship with that, and then come into a relationship that helps you interpret the intuitive responses that you're getting. And the quickest, easiest, best way to do this without the woo-woo or the jargon is spending time in nature. Letting nature calibrate and clean and clear and restore your connection with natural rhythm, natural law, universal law. All of that to say, that was a lot to get started. You can tell I'm really feeling myself this morning. It feels good after having a lot of density in my field and going and spending time at the base of one of the sacred mountains here that has watched over and protected us. So I feel clean and clear and grateful to be providing this transmission. And in this moment, calling on the highest light of truth, of wisdom and guidance to best utilize this energy for each individual's highest good and purpose, to reveal and to direct our life force in ways that serve the one, that serve our growth and evolution personally and collectively. And it is so So we call on, wow, the oracle cards to provide templates, provide energetic imprints and archetypes that help us to give a name, give a personification, if you will, an archetype to the energies that are with us. And our first card, which is the theme of the reading, it's pretty intense. We have the Sorcerer, and we have the Sorcerer inverted. Came out inverted. So what does that mean to you? When you look at this image, what comes forward to you? What is your intuitive response and what is your instinctual response? You know, there's this instinct when there's something that has had a stigma of being in the dark. Like, for instance, witches. Witches had this really strong stigma of being negative, of being evil. You can see it in movies and pictures and stories, and yet there's a real misconception around what defines a witch. And so we talk about the sorcerer, the one who bends universal laws to their will. And it feels like a pretty honest reflection of what I've observed happening since the election in particular. And for me, just off of the cuff, it feels like things may get more difficult before they get better. This is the way of healing, though. This is the way of detoxing. If you've ever done a detox, you feel worse before you feel better. If you've ever done any kind of healing, you know that sometimes it gets worse before it gets better. This might be one of those times where you might have some symptoms around that. You may have some deconstruction. But let's not devalue the inherent value of destruction, of destabilization. Because if it is destructible, then that means it's not built in truth. It means it is not built in a foundation that is long lasting and can stand the test of time. Therefore, this is the first step of healing. I tell people often, one of the first steps of healing is sickness. Because we don't recognize until there's pain and discomfort in our life. We won't actually change our lifestyles until there is that kind of response, reaction, reprimand on our life. Let's see what it says about the sorcerer. The source of dark power. The sorcerer represents the destructive aspect of the human psyche and the self-centered behavior that harms others. It symbolizes the unconscious beliefs and ideas that foster separation, conflict, and scarcity. Have you been feeling out of sorts because you've been faced with your own character flaws and the pain that you inflict on others when you are out of alignment? Radical self-acceptance is called for now. You must reconcile these darker aspects of your nature so you don't behave irresponsibly and cause more harm to yourself and the ones you love. It's time to come out of denial and accept responsibility for your words and deeds. When you meet the energy of the sorcerer with humility, this destructive power transforms into grace, which you can use in service to the highest good. Perhaps it's time to make amends. Do it. It will set you free from the shadows and let you step into the light. So as you can tell, I live close to an airport right now, and the things that occur whenever I'm doing a reading, a recording, a healing, they're not separate from the experience itself. This feels like a pretty genuine broadcast of what's happening out there. There's so much noise. There's so much interference. It's very deafening and disorienting when we don't have healthy boundaries and we're letting too much of it in. When we are not protecting ourselves, when we are not placing ourselves into environments that protect us, we can get inundated and lost in that. And we lose touch with our center. We lose touch with what's real, what's true, because there are the historical imprints that trigger the nervous system, that trigger like these hormonal reactions. And it changes our brain chemistry and the way that we are able to think and see and process in a healthy, neutral way. So it feels very clear that this is a time to be humble, to be really humble in knowing that as awake and aware as you might be, there are parts of you that still are asleep. There are parts of you that only have a small percentage of what may be true. There are parts of you that have been deceived by yourself. And I've talked about this a lot because it's just what's here. This is what shadow work is identifying the polarity in the outer force, the outer representative that is triggering the response in you. If you're pointing at that person and blaming them and judging them for whatever it is, it's because it's some unclaimed part of you. It's true. Sorry. I hate to tell you that. It may not be like a direct mirror, but it is some unclaimed part of you. And it's only through the alchemization of the self-actualization, self-acceptance, and seeing and owning that in yourself that then the heart opens in compassion for what you see in that person, and you stop seeing them as some separate entity that you are projecting your blame on. And it's hard to do that when there's so much opinion and noise in the field. So this card just jumps off the table right now. This is the card of the clairvoyant. And this is talking about trusting your third eye, trusting your intuition, and knowing that we all have the capacity to embrace our intuition, and that no one's intuition is the same. There's no exact formula for that. And for the simplicity of this reading, I'm going to go create a little extra barrier here and let that be an example. see this example of maybe you think that you have your boundaries all set, but there's places where interference is getting in. Because we didn't know what we didn't know, and we all have blind spots. Whew. And it's important that we are building daily relationship with this part of our inner intelligence, our higher intelligence, because it's not going to get more clear going forward from the outside in. It has to come from the inside. You know, as a matter of fact, one of the prompts that I received in preparation for this full moon was to do a fast and to let my body get clear, because the things that we consume in the body act as filters, acts as projections by which we resonate and connect. So if the system is clean and clear, so too will your intuition and your vision. And if you've ever done any kind of fast, you know this. You know you have better energy, you have more clear consciousness, you have a more open and receptive heart, you have maybe more vitality and flexibility of body. So that's just my process. Maybe you can tune in and listen. Is there something on a body level that you are being invited into in order to detox from the energy around you? Taurus, again, an earth sign. And very much, I'm trying to think of what part of, I would say that the Taurus is somewhere like around the head, actually. I could be wrong. If there are any astrologers out there that you want to help me out with that one. But I'm pretty sure it's somewhere around the head, like maybe ears, jaw, alta. And as we are invited to take a deeper look at this, there's progress on the path. There is this promise that even through the shadows and the darkness and the destruction and the difficulty and the opposition, that this is progress. Progress isn't linear, and that progress doesn't always appear as progress. And this card, again, it goes back to being in touch with your intuition. Now, the thing about horses is that horses reflect to you your own energy. If you're afraid, the horse will be afraid. If you have anxiety, the horse will have anxiety. It picks up on these things, and it holds a real true mirror. And people who work with horses know that this is a bond that requires such a level of trust and communication beyond the word, beyond the spoken word. So this card says, I am Medicine Horse, bringing you the message of freedom, journey, and progress. That feels so strongly collective as I say that. It feels, this isn't just about the US, this is worldwide, but this actually feels like a breakthrough point to a higher timeline. Do not act as though you are a beast of burden. Claim your innate divine dignity. Allow yourself to feel and be graceful. Recognize and honor your needs for rest, openness, safety, and respect. An ability to hear, know, and feel spiritual truth, which will guide you in every aspect of your life journey, is opening up. Connect with your spirit. Live your truth. And I'm just feeling into what else. This says, you will successfully navigate your way around negativity as you respect your inner guiding wisdom your life experience will improve. And you are also guided to honor the inner knowing that flows naturally from your instincts and intuition. Healing, spirit communication, and loving repair of the sense of self after any type of abuse is indicated. There is spiritual support and assistance for a journey ahead that will take you far. Progress is being made. So this says, horse doesn't want to be held back in any way, and its appearance is a sign of progress being made in physical worldly pursuits, and especially in the inner process of soul healing. Horse medicine is helpful for cultivating a loving, respectful relationship with the body, rather than trying to dominate it with mind. It can help us in undoing patterns of abuse and learning to trust bodily instincts and wisdom. It is also powerful medicine for developing a constructive attitude towards fear. Horse helps us acknowledge all our emotions, including fear, and contain them so that we feel heard without censorship, yet also safe and held. We can then channel the vital energy of our emotions into conscious choices that allow for progress, vitality, and engagement with the world. It said something in here that I feel is really important to acknowledge in how we become the change that we want to see in the world. Listening to the body, honoring the body, and not allowing the mind to overtake or to give too much value to the mind and what the mind can do. I feel like the US domain really is a good representative of that. This overpowering, this overcoming and achieving, and it's all very driven from the mind. And the body gets left behind. Most people live from here up, and they're disassociated from their bodies. And it keeps us cut off from the whole picture and all of the information that can't be gathered by the mind. This is the separation between us and other. It lives within us as we are separated from our heart, as we are separated from our body. There is mind and there is heart. There should be mind-heart coherence. And the body is the instrument in which we experience that. And so when we start to disengage from overly critical, overly rational thinking or engagement and come more into our heart and our felt sense in the body, our intuition, it begins to breed an intelligence and demonstrates what coherent and inclusive communion is. We start to bring in and make decisions that reflect that. The decisions we have made have reflected the choices of mainly the mind. When we start to bring these two intelligences together through the intuitive channel, it begins to reflect in our choices in the world, seeing that we don't rape the planet, that we don't overcompensate, that we don't dominate. This is the yin-yang, feminine, masculine polarity coming into tandem, into right relationship, into a dance with one another. Neither one of them superior than the other, but in collaboration. How can you do that within yourself? There's an invitation with this reading to work with the medicinal arts. Here she's drinking cacao. She's drinking the medicine of the trees. The trees right now, they're so full of life and just waiting for us to arrive into the stillness with them, to listen to all the memories and the wisdom, the teachings that they have. So cacao, it's a tree medicine. And if you know me, you know that this is the medicine that I've been called to work the most with. And she she can really help support and stabilize you during this time that can be tumultuous and loud and exciting and overpowering. So lean into the medicinal arts, lean into the plant spirits that talk to you, that guide you, and in particularly the tree spirits, working with tree medicines. Some other forms of that would be like aromatherapies, like myrrh and frankincense, or you could work with copal. I'm sure that there's other ones, but those are the ones that I work with the most, so they're on the forefront of my mind. But there's lots of other trees, the mimosa tree perhaps, and other entheogenic plants that are tree medicine. Or you could just go sit with the trees. Go sit with your back up against a tree for 10 or 15 minutes and feel how grounded you get, how centered and direct your attention becomes, how at peace you feel to hug a tree, to plant a tree, just to be out amongst the trees. Yeah, there's this deep breath that allows us to sync our nervous system with the mycelial network, to sync with the voice, the hum of the trees. So I'm just going to pack this reading all up in a little energetic box for you to take and for you to sit with. And it feels like it could be helpful to return to this a couple of times over this next couple of weeks, at least within the next 7 days. And to keep receiving in different ways, that this is multi-layered, multi-dimensional. And so as you process and you apply, there's new information that begins to open, and you may perceive and hear, and things will land differently in you. And it just continues to widen the scope so that we're not so myopic or limited with, just like the horse, the blinders, but where the blinders get taken off and we're able to be in the position to not take anything personally that we didn't know or that we were incorrect about, but just to very humbly come back, kneeling down to the earth, saying, I am only human. I only have a limited ability in understanding and perceiving reality as it is. Let me be free by seeing what I was not willing to see before. So if you appreciate this message and you know someone who may also appreciate, receive from it, hit the likes, subscribe, share, all of the things that help with the algorithms. It's so greatly appreciated by me. And being able to share this far and wide. So thank you. And until we meet again, stay pure and keep it simple. Pura vida.